if we have our box plot, we can tell kind of what the shape of the distribution is going to be, just like we could tell from the histogram or the dot plot. They have 3 different examples of what a histogram would look like, and then its corresponding box plot is below it. So here in the middle, we've got our symmetric one. So we've got, our boxes are going to be about the same width, and our whiskers are going to be about the same width. So that's what a symmetric one is going to look like. Your box plot is going to be symmetric. If we have something that's skewed, so here it's skewed to the right because that's where my tail is. Here, with this one, you've got your tail is a lot longer on the right-hand side. So over here, your tail is on the left. That's where your longer whisker is. So with this one, it says the tail is associated with a long whisker. So if they give you this one here, and they ask you what the shape of the distribution is, you're just going to look to see where the tail is. The tail is on the left, so it's going to be skewed to the left for that one. There's other questions on the homework I'm going to get to when we cover the homework just in a minute. It's a little confusing. If we look back at our previous example, the one that we drew out the box plot, what would be the shape of this distribution then? Yeah, so it got skewed left because that's where the long whisker is, so it's going to be skewed left. And then there's a couple other things that are associated with the tail. So if it is skewed left, you're going to have a longer left whisker, or you might have an outlier to the left, or you might have that the left side of the box is wider. So you could have all 3 of those things, maybe just 2 of them, sometimes even just 1 of them. But if you look here, we've got kind of all 3 of those cases with our example. Our left whisker is a lot longer than this one over here on the right, so it meets that criteria. We've got an outlier here to the left, it meets that one. And if you look at your box, this side is a lot wider than this one is right here. And then it's going to be the same thing if it's skewed to the right, only every time you see left, you'll just change it to right. So skewed right, longer right whisker, outlier to the right. The right side of the box is wider. Really, when you look at the whiskers and check for outliers, those are the easier ones to tell. There is one problem in the homework, maybe 2, where you have to look at the actual box, and we'll talk about that when we get to the homework at the end. Okay. All right, so here's how to do it on your TI-84 Plus. We've got another example down here that we'll do in just a sec. But if you put your data into L1, so I've already got my data into L1 right here, so I should show you real quick with this one how to do it. So I put all the stuff into L1. So from there, if you go to second y equals, and click on the first one, you only want the first one on, the other ones you'll turn off. It's the same one we used when we did the histogram, and we're going to use it again for a couple other ones. But if you go down to the type, you want it to be the second row all the way to the left. So this one right here, that's the one you want to select. Enter. To get to that second row, you have to keep pushing to the right. So if you're on the top row and you push down, it's going to go down to where that X list is. So to get to that second row for your type, you have to push all the way to the right till you get to the histogram, and then push to the right again, and then it'll take you down to the bottom row. Unless you have a new one where they're all in the same row, then you don't have to worry about it. But we want that one. If you'll notice, that one looks like a box and whiskers plot with a little dot to the side. So right here, this is a little bit different. They've got 2 dots here to the side. This one doesn't have any dots. That's because this is the regular box plot that doesn't look at outliers and it doesn't care about them. This is our modified box plot where it takes outliers into consideration. So that's why you want to click on this one and not that one. Our X list is L1. Our frequency should always be 1. Down here, you can choose what you want your outliers to look like. If you want them to be squares, dots, or plus signs, it doesn't matter which one you pick. But once you have that set up, you're going to do zoom 9. So if you click this zoom number up here, and then 9 for zoom stat, get this graph, which looks the same as the one that we did up here. So very similar. So when you do this on the test, you can go through and double check your work. Don't just graph it on your calculator, copy this shape down and leave it at that, because this one doesn't have any of your units down here, so you don't know what these numbers actually represent. So on a test, just remember you have to include this number line at the bottom here and make sure everything lines up. Okay, so that's just a way that you can double check your work when you're done. For the homework, if you're just looking for the shape, you can just graph it. So if we go through and do this example instead, we've got the number of students absent in a middle school in Montana in January. So it's going to be a population, that's what they ask. But we'll go to stat, edit, and then we'll put all of those numbers in to our L1. And if all we're doing is trying to figure out the shape of the distribution and looking at the box plot from there, if we go to second, y equals, and that'll bring up this chart. It's already set to be a modified box plot from when I did it last time, so I really don't have to adjust anything. But if I want to click enter just to verify everything looks okay, then once I do that, I can do zoom 9. I'll get this graph that looks just like this one over here. But again, it doesn't tell me what those numbers are, what my minimum Q1, median Q3, modified maximum, and outlier is. So, okay, so once we've done that, how would you describe the shape of this distribution? Skewed right. Yeah, this one's going to be skewed right. One, we have a long tail to the right. 2, we have an outlier here on the right. And 3, this right side of the box is a little bit wider than the left side of the box.